Greetings, friends. Happy to be with you today. The four of us serve as elders of the Cedar Grove Church in Rogersville, Alabama. I want to focus today in this segment on a brief statement in John chapter 11, verse 35. When I mention that passage, most who are familiar with Scripture would say that is the shortest verse in the Bible. Simply states, Jesus wept. But in reality, that is not the shortest verse in the Bible. It is in the English translation. There is a shorter verse in the Greek language. But I want to think about why Jesus wept. Of course, the occasion there was that Lazarus, his friend, had died. And Jesus, in this experience, is showing his human side. He felt compassion for the sisters of Lazarus who had died, who had been buried. He died 4 days earlier. But I want to think further about why Jesus wept. What was it that moved him? It was compassion, yes. He was very empathetic. He could feel what they were experiencing. But think about other things, perhaps, other than just the loss of a loved one, that would cause Jesus to be sad. Brother Paul, what would you say were some other things that even today, Jesus, as he is by the right hand of the Father, things that would break his heart, so to speak?
Well, a parallel passage comes to my mind in Acts chapter 20, verse 28 through 32, when the Apostle Paul had called the Ephesian elders, they were to gather. He had just told them, "You will likely not see my face ever again." That's tender and emotional. When we think, or maybe sitting by the bedside of a friend, a loved one, a spouse, a child, and we know that we're about to be separated, what comes to my mind is whether or not we're right in the sight of God. You see, if I am about to see someone pass from this life, such as Lazarus was with Jesus, or a friend of mine, if I am striving to please God and they strove to please God, then I'm just merely saying bye for a little while. But if it's bye for eternity, never to be again, that would be different.
Brother Paul, in thinking, adding to what you said and addressing your question, Brother Randy, why did Christ weep here, or why we saw him weeping here in this context? I think of the church that he purchased with his own blood. To the letter to the Corinthian church, it talks about that the church is the bride of Christ. We serve a jealous God, and rightfully so. He's the creator of the universe. And to see the church be corrupted by introduction of false teaching, things that are not authorized by Scripture, must break the heart of Christ. Oh, it does. The Scripture tells us that it does.
There are many times that we can read in the Bible about weeping. And one other thing that might go hand in hand with this, Richard, Jesus was human, wasn't he?
He was. And one thing that I'm reminded from this particular verse is that we have a high priest that can be touched by our infirmities. He's been human. He's also been deity. He knows exactly what we're going through. And this is such a tender thing that we can look at and we can study and understand and know that God is on our side. He is going to be our intercession. We are so happy that you've been with us today. Be back with us once again.